Hey everybody, Josh here from BrainTap, and I want to do a quick channel update because I've basically been absent for a long time, and I've seen that some of the videos have been getting a lot of traffic and comments and stuff, which I really appreciate. And I wanted to do a quick update on what's going to be happening with the channel in the near future. The good news is that more videos are actually in production right now as we speak. And I do want to explain a little bit of the absence, since it has been a while. It's been a while since I've actually published a video, and the reason for that is because of work stuff. And basically what had happened was, when I was making these BrainTap videos, I was currently unemployed. I had basically, my contract had ended with IGN, which was where I was working at the time. And I didn't really have much to do, and I didn't want to do video game content, so I started making video essays and really took to it and was really liking it. So much so that I actually got a job making video essays for Nerd Block, which is where I got hired right after. Unfortunately, for me and for them, the Nerd Block thing never actually got off the ground, and I had made a total of, I think, 6 video essays for them, which they own. And unfortunately, they will never be seen, at least for now. I'm trying to get to a point where maybe I can get them back or basically recreate them in a way that's different enough, because technically they own them. I don't own them, which is unfortunate because I think I made some really, really cool videos that I wish could have seen the light of day, and because I was working there, I wasn't really making my own video essays. I think the Fooly Cooly one came out around then, which, funny story about that, I, for about a year and a half, did not know that it was blocked in all regions, not just some regions. And so I was like, man, why isn't the Fooly Cooly video getting any views? Well, it's because it was blocked, and I found out recently. So for a lot of you, it might look like I actually posted a new video, when in reality, that video is like almost 2 years old at this point. And you know, I didn't actually I didn't notice because I wasn't really paying attention. But basically, for the year that I worked there making videos, I was not really publishing videos here. And since then, I am now working at GameSpot and CBS Interactive, and so I don't have a ton of time to devote to YouTube right now, but I have wanted to come back and start making videos again. And once again, the good news is that I have some videos in production. I have a bunch of ideas for videos that I want to make, and I've started writing them down. And the other good news is that I'm actually going to have help this time. A good friend of mine who I worked with in the past, Kyle Bradford, has agreed to come on as basically a writer, and do a little bit of editing and basically just like support the channel. You probably won't hear his voice in most things because we both sort of agreed that I would remain the face of BrainTap, even though he might help write and do some other things, and we will properly credit him and all that stuff in all the videos that he helps write. But currently, as of this recording, I am the only one doing any of the writing and stuff. So, but he will come on in the future. So, what's coming in the near future? Well, currently right now, I have written most of and have started the editing on a new SFG episode, or So Blank Good. I won't curse here. It's a family channel. And similar to the Violet Evergarden and Fooly Cooly video, except this next one won't actually be about anime. I realize that the first 2 episodes of SFG have been anime, and my intention wasn't to just do anime. My intention was to do things that I really like, and think are really, really good, and explain why they're really good. And the first 2 episodes just kind of happened to be anime because at the time, I was on a podcast called Hooray for Anime, and I was kind of doubling up on like, what are we watching? What are we talking about? Well, I'll talk about that here too, and we just happened to do Violet Evergarden and Fooly Cooly. So that's sort of how that shook out. I was in the process, I think I still have it written somewhere, I'll have to check, but I was in the process of doing an SFG episode for The Crown, which would have probably shocked a lot of people, going from 2 episodes about anime and then what this like history series on Netflix. What is this, right? I might still do that. I think I literally have the whole thing written, and I had done some of the capture for it, but I have to go back and check. But The Crown is a show that I just absolutely adore and I think is brilliant on so many levels, and I just really wanted to do an SFG episode on it. That's probably not going to happen for the near future, but it was something I wanted to do, and maybe if we keep going, maybe it is something that I will do in the future. Right now, though, there is another SFG episode coming. Anime adjacent, not really anime based, but it's about the Clone Wars. And as many of you probably know, I'm a giant Star Wars fan. As you can see, half the videos on my channel are about Star Wars. And hell, even some of the videos that I made for Nerd Block that aren't probably ever going to come out, unfortunately, were Star Wars video essays as well. Those are, funny enough, the things that got me hired there in the first place. So Star Wars is just something I'm very passionate about, and I wanted to write more about and stuff. So there is an SFG episode coming about the Clone Wars animated series and why you should watch it. Don't think it's just a kids show. It's amazing. So that is in progress. The other video that we have in production right now is something that we're going to be testing out. Originally, I should say recently, with the release of Evangelion on Netflix, I watched it for the first time and just absolutely fell in love with it. And Kyle, who we're bringing on the channel, is also a longtime fan, and we have a lot of opinions about a lot of the things in the show, and could probably wax poetically for hours. So we were like, well, why don't we do that? So coming really soon, probably second week of February, we're going to be putting up a video called A Long Conversation about Evangelion, and we're pretty much only going to talk about Neon Genesis Evangelion and then End of Evangelion. We're not going to talk about the new movies, not out of like spite or anything, but I have not watched them, and I don't actually know if Kyle has watched them either, and I personally probably will not watch them until they're all out. I know the final one comes out the middle of this year, so I'll probably just wait until all 4 are out and then watch them all, and maybe we'll talk about them at some point here, but for the most part, we're just going to talk about Neon Genesis and then End of Eva, and keep it at that. But we're probably going to talk about it for a good 2 hours. It's going to be a lengthy discussion. We might have some guests, just some friends of mine who are some other industry folk, come in and talk about Evangelion. Right now, we are currently sort of doing like a rewatch. Kyle's seen it a million times. I've seen it once, the one time, and I'm currently watching it for the second time, just so I can have everything like fresh, in my mind. But yeah, so we're just gonna do like a long sort of podcast about it, basically, and that should be fun. And the reason we're gonna do that instead, I had thought about doing like, should I do an SFG episode of about just Neon Genesis, or it's like, should I do a video about how End of Eva is like kind of deconstructs itself, and how it criticizes its audience and does all these things. But then it's like, well, all of these things have sort of been said. I don't really need to say them. They've been said to death over the last like 25 years. Like almost anything we could say about Evangelion's pretty much been said. So like every time I tried to sit down and write a script, I would start and then I would just be like, I'm just saying the same stuff that I've heard like Beyond Ghibli say, and these other channels say, and like Folding Ideas and all these things, and it's just like, well, all right, maybe we shouldn't do this, if we're just gonna rehash like certain things, right? So that's where the idea for the long conversation thing came up, and we might do that in the future for other things. We're not totally we haven't totally decided. Like we pitched maybe we're spitballing ideas, and we thought about maybe talking about Gundam just in general, not even like a specific series, but doing a long conversation about Gundam, because Gundam was just something that I loved as a kid. Like I adored it as a child. I haven't really kept up with it at all, but I have fond memories of, you know, like Gundam Wing and 8th Mobile Suit Team and stuff, and I think Kyle is someone who's basically kept up with the series in general, so we thought we would kind of talk about that and, like, you know, its cultural impact and how it continues to be a thing and stuff like that. But those are some of the main things actually coming up. We have a couple of other ideas that we're really excited about, really passionate about, but we're kind of holding off on talking about them until we get, you know, further in the process and start actually making things. But for now, the two things that are currently in production that you will see very soon are the SFG episode of the Clone Wars and the long conversation about Evangelion. I also just want to take a minute to thank everybody who left really nice positive comments on the Violet Evergarden video and on the Fully Cooley video. It's really appreciative. And the like 1 or 2 of you that actually watched my lightsaber videos, those took over a year and a half, maybe 2 years. I've lost count at this point of research just to make, and I'm really proud of them, even though nobody watched them for the most part. And it's nice to every once in a while have someone say like, oh, these were really good. I appreciate that. In terms of the frequency of videos, I don't know that I can promise any frequency because, you know, after all, I work a full-time job and, you know, have family and friends and we do, you know, stuff. And I also have, you know, a podcast that I guest on and a podcast that I host and some other things. So it's going to be really hard for me to have, like, you know, every 2 weeks is a video. That's just not going to be able to happen. Like, the way I'm seeing it, it might be once a month, if that. You might get a video, and, you know, who knows, if this gets bigger and we want to expand, then we'll try and expand, but we'll see how it goes. Anyway, everybody, that's going to be it for the channel update. I, by the way, just was playing this because I just needed footage. I thought of, oh, do I put footage of, like, something random, you know, up and just have it run? Do I film myself? I almost filmed myself, but my office is absolutely destroyed right now, and I just did not want to set up and do all that stuff, so I did not end up filming myself. Not that I'm opposed to it or anything, I just got lazy, so I recorded some game footage and put it over all of my talking. And I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you guys look forward to the new SFG episodes and our Evangelion conversation. And if you have any ideas or things that you think you'd like to hear me talk about, even though a lot of the topics on here are usually very, like, personal, be sure to leave them in the comments. Let me know all that stuff. And thank you guys for supporting the channel. And I hope you continue to support it. Thanks. Bye.